done? We are waiting for you, sir. The PS and team, honorable members, allow me to call the meeting to order. Sir, I will straight confer you with the minute under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, just meaning for as long as you do not mislead the committee, all is well. But you may even be prosecuted if at all you deliberately mislead the committee. But I want to believe that we have come here for one purpose, and that is to diligently look at our budget and thereby saving the people of this country, and therefore such should not arise. Having said this, we request that we formally know each other by way of introduction, sir, and I request we start with your team, then the honorable members present and secretariat. So introductions, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon to the honorable members. My full names are Joseph Sakafumba. I'm Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. Chair, if it pleases you, I request that the team I'm with introduce themselves individually.
Indeed, sir, I would like to hear their voices as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Nondo Raphael, Senior Planner under the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Dominic Matale, Acting Director, Department of Research and Planning.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Ranji Chisumpa, Director Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Makasa Innocent, the Acting State Forensic Analyst in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Dr. Luchenga Mchilenganga. I'm State Forensic Pathologist, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Brigadier General Lawson Smafuga. I'm the Executive Director of the National Forensic Authority.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. I'm Vincent Martin, Minister of Land and Business.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Emmanuel Sianjani, Acting Director, National Archives.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. My name is Sebadi Vines, Deputy Registrar General.
Honorable members, I'll start on my far right.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, PS and your team. I am Philemon Twasa, Member of Parliament for Kasenengo Constituency in Eastern Province and a member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. PS and team, good afternoon. I'm Rosale Simbao, Member of Parliament for Luanisha Constituency.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, PS and your team. My name is Chrysosta Halwindi Piri, MP for Kabwe Central Constituency. You're welcome.
PS, you're welcome. And to all other members of the delegation, you're most welcome. My name is Asbongile Mwamba. I represent the people of Kasama Central Constituency. Thank you.
Secretary, can we start with you, sir?
Good afternoon. My name is Malala Mangala Hamanyati, Deputy Director, Hanthad.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, honorable members. PS, good afternoon to your team. My name is Chilimboy Elijah from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm retired Brigadier General Morgan Istwala, privileged by my colleagues here to chair the committee. As we once again welcome the team, would just like to bring to your attention that we are live on both Parliament TV and radio. So just bear that in mind even as we interact. The Permanent Secretary, we essentially welcome you. This morning we were with your minister, but would like you as the PS to go in detail as you interact with the committee this afternoon, so we can understand in detail how you intend to run the budget for the year 2025 for both your ministry and I think correctional service, which directly falls under your armpit. And in so doing, would like the following documents to be availed: the strategic plan, the work plan for 2025, the implementation plan, budget performance for the previous year in line with Section 48 of the Planning and Budgeting Act of 2020. You will recall, sir, that this is one of the 5 committees that piloted this new set of budget that we are starting this year, and these were mentioned the last time we met. If they are not ready today, we would love that these are availed as quickly as possible, because in our final report we would like them to be part of the report that we are going to present on the floor of the House. Having said so, sir, we now allow you to present, and in presenting we note you are dealing with the 2 heads, that is head 15 and head 30, the correctional service. So maybe not to really confuse things, we allow you to do the ministry, that's head 15. Thereafter we'll ask the honorable members of parliament to interact by way of questions, clarifications, and thereafter you can present head 30, the correctional service. We feel this will be, I think, the best way to go about things. And because we know you may be coming from, or you are coming from offices that are quite busy, once we are done with the ministry, we allow those officers specifically attending to the ministry presentation maybe to leave us so that they can attend to other issues in the offices. We remain with those for correctional service. That way we think we'll be able to do justice to our interaction this afternoon. Otherwise, you are most welcome once again, and please, sir, you may present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. As you have guided, I want to believe that the requisite documentation which supports my memorandum have been availed, but if not, then they will immediately be availed at the close of business today or first thing in the morning. Chair, as you guided, I'm tackling head 15, which is Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. Chair, in 2025, the proposed budget for 15 Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security is quarter 551,001,604, made up of quarter 147,509,903 and quarter 403,491,701 for personal emoluments and non-personal emoluments respectively. Chair, the overall proposed budget has been increased from quarter 548,773,625 in 2024 to quarter 551,001,604 in 2025. The increase is $2,227,979, representing a 0.4%.
Further guidance, sir. We note the documents you have are quite bulky, and in the interest of time, we would request that you go or you highlight those which you think are very, very important, and the time could be in the region of 15 to 20 minutes maximum.
Thank you very much.
We have enough time for interaction because the honorable members have the documents already with us.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Chair has guided that the document that I'm about to go through is already available to the members. The next one I'll quickly go through is Table 1, which is 2023-2025 allocations. This table, Chair, indicates what was allocated 2023 up to 2025. Chair, under Table 2, there is allocation to English from 2023 to 2025. How the progression has made in terms of funding is also clearly tabulated, Chair. Chair, on 2.1, allocation to infrastructure development. I must say quickly, Chair, that in order to improve the work environment and service delivery, the Ministry has continued to invest in infrastructure development. In 2024, there was an increase in allocation to infrastructure development from 2000 to total in 2023 to 25. Chair, it must be noted that the resources for infrastructure development are also allocated to other heads of expenditure under the ministry. Chair, Table 3 shows allocations for non-PEs. Point 30, Chair, is the performance of the budget under the current year. Chair, under Table 5, these are the targets that we have set or that were set in 2024, and that's how we performed under the current budget. It clearly shows the achievements made by the ministry. Under Table 6, it's the revenue performance, Chair, from January to June this year. In terms of revenue collections, we have surpassed the 50% mark. That's on passport, national registrations, registrar of societies, and national archives. Adequacy of 2025 budget allocation, meeting the target. Chair, it's clearly shown on the allocations how the money has been allocated to different heads under Table 7 and under Table 8. The legal entity registrations and streams services, Chair, there have been a drop in the allocation, partly because of the suspension of the English program, but that does not mean the whole program has been suspended, Chair, because it continues with the building of infrastructure in districts and also with the birth and death registration. The proposal outputs under legal identity and civil registration is clearly outlined. Chair, under National Archive Services, quarter 18,088,937 allocated, but out of this 2 million is going to the devolution of the service to provinces. That in itself is not enough. Societies and regulations of standards, Chair has clearly outlined. Internal security, Chair, this is where we have the biggest challenge. Why so, Chair? Because there have been 3 departments which were created, and though performing very well according to their baseline, but the finances have not been to expectation. This I need to say, Chair. And also to underscore the point that to run National Forensic Pathology Services and biometric, it's a little bit expensive. But this is a choice we have made as a nation, so funds have to be found so that these 3 departments, which add to crime detection, are managed to the full. Proposed output under the forensic service, Chair, is as outlined, and it shows clearly that we have met the targets under difficult conditions. Chair, how the 2025 budget allocation is done is also clearly outlined. The constraints affecting the execution of the budget, Chair, there is inadequate staff levels at the ministry to ensure the execution of the mandate of the ministry. We face delays in the release of funds by the Treasury. It is our hope, Chair, that going forward, the Treasury will release the funds timely, and inadequate transport logistics. Chair, I implore the committee to favorably consider the proposed allocation to Head 15. We are also fully aware, Chair, that the resource envelope under the Ministry of Finance or government in general does not allow us to get whatever we can get, but we are greatly appreciative of what has been allocated to the ministry. Thank you very much, Chair. I hope I haven't exceeded the 15 minutes.
You are within time, sir, and thank you very much. Honorable members, we are with the PS, Ministry of Home Affairs. Are there any clarifications? Can I start with Vice Chair, followed by Honorable Simbao? Any other? Honorable Piri. I suggest I will be taking 3 questions at a time, then you respond and we take another set.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. PS, without the budget performance reports, it's actually quite difficult for the committee to know how the ministry is performing. So it's very important that the performance reports are presented before this committee so that we can also make progress. And then I will also continue to ask, when you look on page 5, in relation to revenue performance, looking at the allocated amounts on page 7, as well as going back to table 6. So we're looking at table 7 and table 6. The legal identity, civil registration and citizenship services actually take up 58.6% of your allocated funds. Most of the services offered actually attract revenue, But when we look at revenue collection, we are nowhere near recovery of the funds that are allocated. So is it possible you could explain to the committee why is it that the 58.6% of the allocation as well as the performance, they are at variance? Why is it that the collections are not up to date? And then I also wish to ask PS, is it possible to try and reduce the allocation of the legal identity and the other processes in order to add to, for instance, management and support services? I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Honorable Simbao.
Chair, the question I had, Vice Chair has asked, it was to do with performance reports.
Thank you very much. Honorable Piri.
Thank you so much, Chair. The PS on, of course, performance report is very important for us in order to help each other. I wanted to find out if you are able to elaborate on the performance of the vote for National Archives services. I recall very well last year when it was about 17 million. And when you asked why, if you could vary, it was that because of the devolution. If it serves, my memory serves you well, you wanted to carry out activities of devolution to various provinces and districts of that department. So I wanted to find out how you performed and if that activity was carried successfully. Are we able to vary the amount so that we can take it to internal security support services? I heard you commented that you have 3 departments and it calls for more allocation to this head. Thank you so much.
Honorable Twasa.
Chair, thank you very much. PS, I wanted to find out if your ministry does have a national strategic plan. If yes, how come people cannot access it on your website? And if no, how have you aligned your operations to the 8th National Development Plan? Because you indicated earlier that you do have the strategic plan, but nothing has been mentioned in your submission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The PSI, you may attend to those 3 submissions and you note some of the questions actually are what I brought out just before we started the meeting. Kindly elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start with the National Archives, the question about National Archives and the assurance that was made when we were looking at the current budget that part of the funds of the about 17 million that was allocated to National Archives would be transferred to local authorities to support the devolved function of district archives. Chair, you may wish to note that it's not a one-off activity. So even in the current budget, the proposed budget, we are going to transfer the same amount of money that was allocated in the 2024 budget. That function, indeed, Chair, was devolved, but it has to be performed by officers in the local authorities. They have to use resources. They are not allocating another budget apart from what will come as a transfer from the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. So we are still in the proposed budget to transfer the same amount of money. So it was not a one-off activity, Chair. On the first question regarding the composition of the legal identity, which is taking up about 58% of the ministry's budget, and then why the corrections are not matching the resource input. Chair, there are services that are offered under the department responsible for issuance of NRCs. They are actually offered on gratis. What actually citizens pay for when they are making replacements of NRCs. So actually these services are mostly offered without a pay. Now, the passport stream is where we are getting revenue, but it's not enough, of course, to match the resource input. But when you look at the performance of the stream for passport, you believe that it's actually performing above the expectations. It's always above the target. So the resource that is going to passport production is actually less than what we are getting at the end of the day. But this component is taking up more resources because we were in the process of implementing the INRIS project. This project, Chair, requires a lot of resource input. It's a capital intensive project. And this is why you see that this component has a lot of resource allocation. It requires, for it to be fully running, Chair, it requires over 2 billion. So we still have a lot of resources that should go into this project for it to start running. Chair, if we do have a strategic plan, yes indeed we do have a strategic plan which was approved, and we do have a copy that we've brought with us. We already shared this copy with the officer that we've been interacting with under this committee. And the many other documents that are required, Chair, we have shared them through the same officer. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, I get you. But I think the question was very specific. Why is it not on your website?
Chair, thank you very much. We indeed have noted the observation, and we will move to upload it on the website. Thank you.
When will this be done, Mr. Nondo?
Chair, even as we leave this place, we will request our officers that are handling the website to upload it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see a follow-up from Honorable Piri. Did you also want to have a follow-up, Honorable Tosa? I think that was done.
Chair, it was the same.
Okay.
I let Honorable Piri go ahead, and then I will come back later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Well, then let's finish with you, so we come to Honorable Piri, since you are the one who asked the question.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to find out from PS and your team. One, the strategic plan is not uploaded. This budget is not only for this committee, it is for the entire country to look at, scrutinize, and maybe interrogate it. But some important components of the budget are missing. And then even in your presentation, it does not make any reference to the strategic plan. Are you confirming to this committee that once you upload it and people go through the strategic plan, it will speak to this submission and people will ably marry it to whatever is submitted here? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can we allow Honorable Piri so you take the two questions?
Thank you so much, Chair. I still am not very satisfied with the answer. What I want to ask now is, of course, you say the devolution is an ongoing thing. You need to keep on, supporting the officers from the districts. No wonder in the first place I asked about the performance. I wanted to ask also, how did you perform? Maybe are you able to tell us which districts you supported, that if we go today, we'll find the offices of what we call them district archives now. So are we able to go in there? If you said yes, we have got offices now that are established that you are supporting, that's what you want to know. And we will know that at least you performed, whether you still need more money or you can reduce now since you have established the offices, of course you need to support. Because what I'm looking at now, PS, is when sometimes we go in the field, we find the officers, the stories like we cannot go to such a place for crime prevention because we don't have fuel. Our officers don't have, cash, whatever you call it, cash that they can use around to cleaning materials, that they are not supported, the officers, because the budgetary allocation is not enough. So we're trying to look at from the allocation, these votes, are we able to vary so that we can put the money where it's needed most? So that's what we are trying to interrogate here, that if we are able to change. If we are not, well and good, can go the way I put it, but it's what we get from the field when we go there, what we find that people are complaining there's no fuel, there's no, we call it, let's call it petty cash to use for cleaning materials. The police stations, are completely, I don't know, not looking good, dead, such things. So we're trying to look at, are we able to get part of some money from the National Archives so that we can put on a vote where also it matters most. So maybe you can be able to clear, but this is your budget. If you feel this is okay the way it is, but we need to find out, do we have offices now that you can say that you performed like this last year, from that you devolved, and if you go there now, you'll find these offices. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. One of my colleagues will answer that question, but through Chair, I wanted to maybe buttress the argument by my colleague to the answer to the question that INRIS was getting nearly 58% and the output was on the lower side. Chair, what is INRIS? It is Integrated National Integrated National Registration Information System that we're building. So we're building systems. So it did not only limit itself to issuance of a biometric card, which we should have done, but it was A, building of infrastructure in the districts. B, it extended to issuance of birth and death certificates with all accompanying tools for use. So this has been a system that was coming in to improve the national identity. This was the money that was being spent. I must quickly add that the Honorable Minister did announce the suspension of the INRIS project as it related to issuance of a biometric card. But other components like building of the district offices, birth and dates, and the machinery still continues. Therefore, it will take a little while for us to see the returns on this investment. So as my colleague said, part of it comes from loss of NRCs, which people are paying, passports, and so forth and so on. Therefore, should we shift part of this money to other heads? The answer is no. We should maintain it the way it is, but if it so pleases the committee, we can even add more so that we are able to cover the deaths and births in the all corners of Zambia. As at now, Chair, we are not able to cover most of the births and deaths in the all corners of Zambia, and that's the target that we want to get to. Mr. Wanji, you add something, sir?
Thank you, through the PS Chair. Just to highlight on the question on whether we could add some more on the devolution aspect. What is indicated in the write-up here on the budget, the 2 million is strictly for the districts, or the 116 districts covered to start with. In fact, for this year, we have disbursed, I think, over 50% of the funds to the councils And the other devolution part, we may call it still, is on the provincial administration of these activities of National Archives. These have been receiving a consistent amount throughout even before devolution. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair, I saw your hand again.
Thank you, Chair. PS, I'll take you slightly back to 2024, where the ministry was allocated approximately 549 million. And then due to the realignment of the 2024 budget to address the drought, 13%, which is approximately 50 million, was set to be cut. So, PS, I would like to find out what output targets were affected, and if so, have these been catered for in the 2025 budget? And whilst I'm still on the floor, PS, I wanted to also find out, there is on table 8 the allocation of transfers, which is 9.66%. With not having a sufficient envelope, is it possible to try and reduce on the transfers so that some of these funds can be allocated to other sectors? Thank you.
The PS, you may take up that. Or indeed on any of your officers.
Thank you, Chair. The figure for transfers there is a purely personal emolument figure, which can not be adjusted. It is moving from the general government payroll budget to the National Forensic Authority, whose conditions of service have been approved, and they will now not operate on PEMIC, but they will operate on a separate account for their payroll. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That was the first question, Vice Chair. I don't think it was taken.
Thank you, Chair. There was a question on reduction by almost 13%, that is around 50 million. And then what outputs were affected? Chair, when we look at where there is, the target was 2 million for enrollment on INRIS, but because of that suspension, we only managed to do 1/6, and at that point mass enrollment was temporarily suspended. So that's one of the key outputs which were affected. We've not enrolled the citizens as we envisaged to do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Follow-up?
There's also a component that has not been tackled. Has that 50 million amount been catered for in the 2025 budget? Thank you.
Chair, what we have in the proposed 2025 budget is a total allocation of 217,800,000 to INRIS. Chair, it's not the only activity that has been, of course, affected by cuts that we have in some of the programs that we do have under the ministry. But we believe that, Chair, with that allocation we will still manage to do some of the targeted outputs. So the suspension of mass enrollment will still free up resources to do other components of the INRIS. So the 50 million that we may have lost in the current budget will still be taken care of because we still have this component suspended, and we're only seeing that it may resume after 2026. Thank you, Chair.
So it's postponed in short. Honorable Twasa.
Chair, thank you very much. PS, let me draw you to page 3. I want to narrow down this question to 2.1. It just got my interest where your allocation to infrastructure development is at 24.5 million, if I got these figures right. And this is under Ministry of Home Affairs. 24.5 million is almost slightly above the allocation for community development when we talk about CDF, which is not even enough. Now we are talking about the entire ministry for the entire country. I'm wondering what kind of infrastructure we are going to get out of this allocation, which is not enough for CDF community projects. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The PS, you might tackle that.
Thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, I agree with you, Honorable Member of Parliament, that this amount is quite minimal. If you were to know what we are requesting for, it could be more than this. But in the reading, the controlling officer indicated that there are few amounts that have been put in other departments under the ministry, which also mostly drive the infrastructure development program. It's not enough, but we hope with the envelope that is available with the Ministry of Finance, we should be able to complete a few projects here and there and maybe start those we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Simbao.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to pose this question specifically to the planner. I believe when you are doing the budget, you ask different departments to submit their budgets. Then you sit down and eventually you now present the budget. Now, supposing the Ministry of Finance tells you, no, you go and cut this because we cannot give you this. Do you take time to go back to those departments that had initially submitted, or you now just start thinking, we cut this one, we cut this one? I say maybe that is enough. How? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, thank you very much. Chair, I must indicate that budget preparation process is a very consultative process that we undertake in the ministry. We start with submissions of priority areas even before the ceiling is provided to the ministry. And when the ministry is provided with the budget ceiling, we get back to all the stakeholders within the ministry so that we look at the requests again and the resource envelope. So indeed, Chair, it's one that is so engaging. We don't just sit in the corner and cut and allocate funds to departments. We undergo a very rigorous kind of consultative process. Chair, I submit.
Thank you very much. As we wind up, Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. PS, my question is very short. What would be the implication to the nation if NRCs had a minimal charge? I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Of how much, like, Vice Chair?
Minimal. 10 much.
Okay.
For the replacement, sorry, Honorable Chair, we do charge, but if from the initial one we start charging, there are certain communities, Chair, who may not afford even the barest minimum. I think we need to acknowledge that. And then secondly, what is an NRC? It's a national identity. Now immediately we put a price tag to it. It means now we'll be segregating between the have and the have not. Assuming somebody has nothing, it means he will not be able to be known and carry an ID as a Zambian. And the consequences of not having an RC are many, especially in rural areas. So while that's not completely objecting or refusing, but I think for the time being, until we get there, government will continue issuing at no cost until when it's such a time that we are too sure that even the poorest of the poor of our community will be able to pay for that NRC. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes? I'll give you time. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to support PS somehow. You know, replacing an NRC chair is more expensive. The receipt you pay is more costly.
Okay, you have now left us. You are part of the ministry. Thank you very much. The PS, even as we wind down, your committee was privileged to interact with some of your officers in their various workstations. One of the issues that came up very strongly and which was really not very good is the issue of the post ID. You know, in any system, in any workplace, I think promotion is very, very important, because once you get promotion, it means even your remuneration goes high. But the stories that we got, unfortunately, we were with Mr. Nondo. It's very, very embarrassing. We are having situations in the police service where you are promoting, honoring people who are almost retiring, but they are still constables. And honestly, how do you honor a person who you have not even promoted? And what comes out is that you are honoring them for hard work. And when we inquire, it's the issue of post ID. We went to certain stations where I remember one lady stood up and said, all these you see, it's me who received them and I've taught them work. Now they are all my seniors. And she's still a constable, proudly saying, I'm even still controlling this. And the issue goes back to post ID. We've heard promises that something is being done about this issue. What really is being done? And when do we see this being addressed so that we can have officers who are well motivated? Remember, we are dealing with the issues of security. And definitely, there's an issue of human element here. Even me, I would not love to come and, or yourselves to come and work under somebody who has come 15 years after you. He surpasses you and you are still on the same rank. It's worrying. Maybe you can give us some details about this. Equally, the issue of accommodation, that's the second one I'm coming to, was I think brought out by one of the honorable members here. But again, is something that is worrying us. We are happy to continue recruiting, but we don't seem to be doing anything in as far as accommodation for the officers is concerned. And this again, security-wise, is not auguring very well. What is it that we are doing to address this issue of accommodation? In my constituents, for example, I've got a huge tract of piece of land which we have offered to the police, in short, to Home Affairs, but we are not seeing anything being done, even just getting title deeds to secure this piece of land. And I know this is happening in almost all the districts. Do we see hope? Do we see anything being done to address the issue of accommodation in the Ministry of Home Affairs, which we think is very critical? Indeed, your ministry, that's the third one, is undergoing problems financially, but when you look at the last Auditor General's report, again you see queries which are somehow not good. For example, there was an issue raised in the Auditor General's report of overpayments of funds, and these funds have not been recovered, and delivered vehicles and building materials to certain institutions. Nothing was done. Payment of salaries to deceased officers. People have been on payroll 2 years. They are gone, dead, but money is still coming and people are getting it. These are like leakages which are worrying. And then on the copper belt especially, we have a lot of issues of unauthorized payments in almost all the stations around. What is the ministry doing to address these issues? And maybe the last question, the PS and the staff, are you happy with your budget for the year 2025? Do you see your operations being covered very well? Would like to hear your comment. 4 issues. The PS.
Thank you, Chair. I'll respond to the question on post IDs. Chair, the post IDs are meant to identify each member of the Zambia Police Service. Now, the problem that we have with these post IDs is that when it comes to promotion, Chair, you find that somebody who is in Lusaka is promoted on a post ID that is in Sinazongwe. That's the only problem that we have. So you see that officers that are working from a different station are promoted while those others are not. So, Chair, what is...
Sorry to cut you short. I think let's be a bit specific.
Thank you.
What you're explaining, me and you know it. We went through this, we were listening. On the ground, you see, it's important we address issues as they come. On the ground, your officers are complaining. Why don't we have the same situation, for example, with the correctional services? Why don't we have the same problem with the Army, for example, the Air Force? All these are security institutions. Why can't we sort out this issue of post ID? I think each and every police officer, especially those affected, they are waiting to hear. And it's like we've been postponing it. All this time I've been to Parliament from 2016. I've been on this committee. And year in, year out, we speak about it. The question your committee wants to know is, when are we sorting out the issue? What is so difficult? Why introduce something in a service, in an institution, that is disadvantaging people? Seeing your officers now even going on social media, TikTok, complaining about the same thing. My question is, what are we doing about it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me first acknowledge, Chair, that indeed the situation relating to the post ID compared to other security wings has been a little bit demoralizing to our officers, especially in Zambia Police. Chair, this issue is historical, but I want to assure this committee that I remember I went to visit the minister in one of the police days, and he is a gentleman who had served the police with good conduct for 27 years. He was being honored for good conduct, but he was a constable. So it's at that point that the minister directed me to find this problem of post ID. Why can't we have floating IDs like other security wings? I wish to state here that we engaged the Cabinet Office and the Public Service Management Division to address this problem. I want to acknowledge that's a problem, but assure the committee that it will be addressed in the quickest possible time, because we do realize that a rank is money. So if one stays, for example, for 25 years on one rank, it means in terms of his take-home pay, it cannot take him home. So we need to address it urgently, Chair. On the issue of accommodation, we found that the past government, Chair, had done phase 1 of the accommodation for the security wings under the ministry, and will be going into phase 2. Under phase 1, there are provinces, Chair. Without stretching it out of the bounds, provinces like Northwestern Province, provinces like Northwestern Province, not even a toilet. But 2,530 houses were built. So under phase 2, it's the intention of the ministry to address these problems or challenges so that our officers can knock off and go to what they call home. A home, Chair, is very important for officers. We want to give them homes that they can be proud of in order for them to carry out their duties diligently. I also know that in certain districts, big districts, I do not want to put the Chair on the spot, at Kaom, there's not even a police station. We know that, Chair. It's for 60 years.
Completely nothing. No officers, no accommodation.
We are fully aware, Chair, that there's that challenge, but I apologize for putting the Chair on the spot. But it's common in most of the districts throughout the country. On the highlights of the Auditor General, I want to assure the Chair that 98% have been resolved. For example, the issue of undelivered vehicles, this was cleared off, and it's been, regrettably, there was a delay by the supplier, ending it being reported by the Auditor General. It was a wake-up call for us, Chair. We learned lessons, and we have taken care of it. Chair, on whether we are happy with the budget. Under the circumstances, Chair, we are happy because we are aware of the government resource envelopes, and asking for more will be trying to squeeze milk out of a stone. So being patriotic ministry, we work within the provided allocation, but still humbly request the committee chair maybe to prevail on the Minister of Finance to timely release the funds so that we can execute the tasks as we have made presentation before this. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, the PS. Though we are not satisfied, especially on the issue of post-ID, is there any timeline? I'm saying this, the PS, in view of the fact that this issue has been hanging around for so many years, and I know as we start the year, we shall still interact. would not want again to come and ask the PS the same thing. It's really a pressing issue. It's something that is really not small in terms of morale, but I think really is something we should clear. I'm not understanding why we are in the same country, the same security institutions. Only one institution must have a problem. Any timeline, the PS?
It's difficult for me to put my hand to it on the timeline, but it's to just assure the committee that this is a matter that we are actively pursuing with all relevant wings, so that we put justice to it and maybe adopt what is happening in other security wings where they are floating IDs unlike what is currently obtained. For example, if there's one post ID for Chongo police station, it means there is only one person who can be promoted to the position of, for example, commissioner. But in the army, you'd find there are 5 lieutenant colonels under one station, but one of them is a commanding officer. So these are the issues that we're trying to polish up and see if we can adopt that position. The important part, Chair, is that we acknowledge that there is a problem and we are doing something about it. It's my hope that, God willing, when we appear before your committee next year, we'll say, Chair, we have done it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the PS. In addition, you recruit from UNZA, somebody comes straight ranks. I'm talking about the problems coming from your officers. There are those who have been in your system. They get the same qualifications through studies either sponsored by the institution or indeed on their own. They attain same qualification or even higher, but they are denied promotion. I hope you can also put that together. I saw the last hand, I believe, from Honorable Twas.
Chair, thank you very much, and indeed this is my last question. PS, you mentioned something which is quite exciting to me, one of the exciting things about accommodation, and you've talked about the phase 1 that was in the previous administration, and then here you have promised phase 2. How do you wish to achieve phase 2 when I've not seen anything here? Because I don't know whether we are on TV or not. People are listening, and I know most of the officers, much as they are complaining about the low wages like chairs alluded, they might be excited now that very soon they will have decent accommodation. But when they try to scrutinize this document, they will not see anything that is allocated to that program. How do you wish to achieve that? And the last one is, are you happy with the devolution exercise as a ministry? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Phase 2 will come as a loan by the Ministry of Finance. On the devolution, that's for National Archives? Or? Yes, Chair, we are quite satisfied with that, in the sense that it is going to the people to be administered by the councils. That is fine also, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm not Honorable Vice Chair, but I think we are still with the PS. We are going slightly beyond our allocated time. So, Vice Chair, I'll still allow you to ask. We are with the PS. Would like, sir, to thank you most sincerely for the interaction this afternoon. And even as we thank you, would like to withdraw the immunity to those of your team members who are leaving us. And if there are any officers from correctional service who may be outside, we'll allow them to join you so we can zero into the correctional service budget. I thank you
Most sincerely, sir.
We can be given 3 minutes break.
For still being with us on Parliament Television, that was the Permanent Secretary in charge of administration at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, making a submission to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, the committee that is chaired by retired General Morgan Sitwala, Member of Parliament for Kaoma. And he was making a submission to the head 15 Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, which is being scrutinized, and after a budget allocation has been put to this head.
Yes, Pauline, that was the Permanent Secretary, Administration, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, making his submission to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs. This is for the consideration of Head 15, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, on the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 2025. And shortly we do expect to see him again make a submission to Head 30, which is Zambia Correctional Services, and this is also for the consideration of estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year 2025. We must make mention that earlier on today, this morning, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security did render or deliver his policy statement to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, and he did indicate the total amount that has been allocated in the 2025 national budget to Head 15, which is 551,1,604 kwacha. And Pauline, we must make in comparison to what was allocated in the 2024 budget, which was 548,773,625. So meaning there's been an increase to the allocation in the 2025 budget.
Yes, exactly. It has an increase of 0.4% in the 2025 budget. And as you mentioned, Taza, earlier, the minister also did indicate to the House that in his policy statement that in the 2025 budget, the Head 30 had an increase of 5.9%, meaning that they are getting a head total of 1,254,257,531. So for 2025 they are getting 1,254,257,531 kwacha. That is the head total for Head 30 Zambia Correctional Service for 2025. And in comparison to last year, which was 2024, the Head 30 was allocated a total amount of 1,183,338,920 kwacha, and this signifies an increase in 2025 budget of 5.9%. So that is what was contained in the policy statement for this morning, rendered by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. And of course, these heads have, submissions to these heads has since begun, and we earlier saw the minister, the permanent secretary in charge of administration at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security make a submission to Head 15, and we expect him to make another submission to Head 30, the Zambia Correctional Services. So that is what is expected to come up next. Keep watching Parliament Television.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Her Honor, the Vice President's question time. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 76.
For a matter to be admitted, it has to be of recent occurrence.
Continue watching Parliament TV, a channel dedicated to bring Parliament closer to you.
I request we settle down. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Home Affairs and the honorable members, I would like once again to call the meeting to order. Remember, we are live on both radio and the Parliament TV. We continue with our discussion, and at this juncture I note we have new faces. I will request, minus the PS, the new faces that came in could introduce themselves to the committee.
Chairperson, good afternoon. Members, my names are Frederick Chulukutu, Commissioner General of Zambia Correctional Services.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair. My names are Chanda Chimfembe, Assistant Director, coming from Zambia Correctional Service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent Sidimara, Principal Planning Officer, Zambia Correctional Service.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Happy Gondwe. I'm the Chief Accountant for Zambia Correctional Service.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Caroline Mwilo, Assistant Superintendent, Zambia Correctional Service.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Senior Assistant Commissioner.
Madam, your mic. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, once more. I'm a Senior Assistant Commissioner, Ngonga Patrick, the Provost Marshal, sir.
Thank you. Honorable members, introductions.
Chair, thank you very much. PS, one more time, good afternoon, and Mr. Churukuta and your team, good afternoon, sir. I am Philemon Twasa, a member of parliament for Kasanengwa constituency in Eastern Province, and a member of this committee that you are attending right now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. PS and your team, second team, you are welcome. My name is Chrysosta Halwin Dipiri, MP for Kabwe Central Constituency. Thank you so much, Chair.
Good afternoon, PS and the entire delegation. My name is Swongile Mwamba. I represent the people of Kasama Central Constituency, and I'm the Vice Chairperson of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. On my left.
Thank you, Chair. PS and your team, good afternoon, welcome. Mubika, MP for Shango Western Province and the member of the committee. Welcome.
Thank you. Secretariat.
Good afternoon, thank you, Chair. My name is Clive Kalambo from the Office of the Clerk.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chair. My name is Chongo Musonda from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Malala Mangala Hamanyati from the Office of the Clerk.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, PS, once again, and your team. Chirimboy Elijah is my name from the Office of the Clerk of National Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm retired Brigadier General Morgan Istwala, privileged by my colleagues here to chair the committee. I do represent the good people of Kaoma Central in Western Province. The Permanent Secretary, once again, you are welcome. We would like to confer the new members with the minute under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, simply restating the fact that for as long as you do not mislead the committee, all is well. But should you deliberately mislead the committee during our deliberations, you can even be prosecuted. But like I said earlier, I've got no doubt, I think we are all here for national duty. I think we all come in good faith to do justice, to look at the resources allocated to the correctional service, which is a very, very important institution under the Ministry of Home Affairs, to do with the security of the nation. So I would like the PS once again to guide that you may go through head 30, and we'll give you again another 15-20 minutes, and you may highlight those very important points that you think will spur the committee to ask or to interact with you, and thereafter we'll end the day. The Permanent Secretary.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, the correctional service budget allocation from 2023 to 2025 is as tabulated under Table 1, 2023, 2024 and 2025. Chair, budget performance for 2024. As at 30th September 2024, a total of 800,818,154,17 has been released by the Treasurer, representing a 67.7% of budget releases. Table 2, Chair, shows the programs, allocations and fund release and actual expenditure. Chair, highlights of the 2024 budget: provisions of 3 meals per day to all inmates, transfer of 4,800 inmates across the country, which includes security risk inmates that were moved from medium security correctional centers to maximum, construction of a correctional facility at Nasanga Correctional Farm with a holding capacity of 1.6, which is at 94% completion, reduction in the number of escapes by 40%. In the second quarter of 2024, The orange material for inmates' uniforms has been procured. Rehabilitation services, 60% for annual pass rate was recorded in examination account of Zambia for GCE and grade 9 external examination. A total of 3,300 inmates were enrolled in vocational skills training, social integration. A total of 432 inmates have been discharged on parole in order to facilitate community re-entry of released inmates. 32% of discharged inmates were offered post-discharge services. Correctional training services, a total of 157 officers were trained in middle management courses. Agriculture managed to produce 90,000 times 50 kg of white maize during 2023-2024 farming season and supplied 80,000 times 80 of white maize to Food Reserve Agency. So far, 10,000 times 500 of wheat has been harvested at Momboshi, Chitri and Nansanga correctional farms, while at Chondo correctional farm, harvesting of wheat is in progress. 2025 budget and targets. Table 3, Chair, shows clearly the economical classification of the 2025 allocation. (4.2) is allocations per program, Chair, which is clearly shown, and output indicators for targets under Table 5, output of indicators and targets. The programs are indicated, key output indicators and the targets, Chair. Custodial service, rehabilitation, social integration, management and support services. Chair, adequacy of 2025 budget. Programs that will need additional funds, Chair. Food rations. Chair, the bare minimum estimated expenditure of food rations to feed 27,500 inmates on average is 380,053,216,4 against the budget allocation of 209,852,0553. In the 2025 budget, translations to deficit of 170 million. Other programs, the component of other programs in the 2025 budget has reduced drastically, Chair, to 57,431,728,90 from 74 to 17,568, translating into 76% reduction. This will negate the progression made in the rehabilitation and social integration of inmates. To consolidate the gains made, a total of 15,745,6700 is required for the provisions of rehabilitation and social integration service as well as parole management. Alignment of Zambia Correctional Service budget to 8th National Development Plan. The allocation was guided by the service in a mission statement to provide humane, custody and correctional service for maintenance of community and safety and reformation of inmates. Chair, the alignment of the Zambia Correctional Service to international commitments. Chair, see tabulated there that the correctional service, the 2025 budget takes into account the international commitment such as payment of subscription fees to Africa Correctional Service associations and payment of subscription fees to Africa Correctional and other regional bodies such as Correctional Prisons Subcommittee of SADC, which is at kwacha 4,1000000. Further, through international treaties such as the Mandela Rules and the Bangkok Rules and other regional agreements such as the SADC Subcommittee for Correction and Prison that seeks to improve the welfare of inmates. Constraints affecting budget execution and mitigation measures. Inadequate qualified staffing levels. The mitigation measure here is Zambia Correctional Service in collaborations with the management development at Cabinet Office has commenced the restructuring of the service establishment. The new structure will include positions for accountants at station. Delays in the disbursement of funds by Treasury has a negative impact on the implementation programs. Zambia Correctional Service is actively engaging the Treasury to disburse funds on time. I humbly submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, the PS. I think even before I ask colleagues to come in, I take interest on page 3, table 2, budget performance for 2024. Quite a good list of activities there, but I'm wondering, I've not seen anything on personal emoluments for the staff. Is it by design is left out here? I'm sure I've heard there's an accountant here or somebody.
Yeah, there's accountant.
Why is it not showing? Because this table, I think you are indicating to us about the performance of the budget so far up to 30th September, but we've not seen anything on salaries. Should we take it the officers have not been paid since January?
Thank you, Chair. I think I would direct that to the Director Planning. He's the one who prepared the document, so I think you'll be able to respond to that one. I submit.
Thank you, Chair. I think for us, when we were preparing this, we just looked at resources under RDCs. So I think maybe going forward with what you have observed, we might be able to report that next.
So we take it you have given us half-baked information, and then the picture here, the performance of your budget for this year then is not correct. How do we take figures which are not complete in our report? I'm sure you understand the implications here.
I think for us, it will, like I explained, most of the time when we were making these previously, when we were doing these, we just mainly look at the funds under RDCs. So maybe with your guidance, I think we should be able to do better.
How many days do you require to give us a record?
Even tomorrow we can just add that.
Please, would appreciate, would want to have complete information.
Sure, sir.
Just ensure you get in touch with Secretariat and ensure that the needful is done.
Sure.
Thank you.
Most obliged.
Honorable members, any questions, any clarifications from the PS and the staff at the Ministry, or rather at Correctional Services? Vice Chair, Honorable Piri, 2 for now. I note, okay, let's have those 2. Then we'll have the next set of questions.
Thank you, Chairperson. PS, on page 6, you have informed us of the inadequate allocation for food rations. And yet, on the other hand, you do have an agriculture production unit, and you also managed to produce 90,000 by 50 kg white maize and 10,000 by 50 kg of wheat. So I am wondering with, and this is only in some of your farm blocks. Much earlier in the day, we had our engagement with the minister who informed us that most of these farms will be recapitalized. But then looking at your budget, I haven't seen the allocation for the farm recapitalization. So maybe could you inform the committee how much is being planned for the recapitalization of the farms? Because looking at just the use of a few, you're managing to produce so much. And if farms are recapitalized, I don't think the correctional service should have a problem with food rations, because most of the food can actually be grown or reared by the Zambia Correctional Service. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Piri.
Thank you so much, Chair. I was also looking at the same on the issue of course, the performance on agriculture, where we at least they have highlighted how they have performed. That is, this is 2024, I believe. It's 2024. Yes, this is 2024, and yeah, but we have not been given non-tax revenue that we are getting from correctional service, knowing that they are doing a lot of economic activities. We also heard in the morning that they have even 5 workshops that they are recapitalized. So maybe it was going to be helpful for us to know the revenue that they are collecting from these economic activities, knowing that they have a challenge that they are presented in issue of not having enough rations from the correctional services. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The PS, you may wish to attend to those 2 interventions.
The PS, the chairperson, thank you very much. Maybe I could chip in. We are funded to run the farms, and in the 2025 budget we have an allocation of 50 million that is coming through. We were funded this year to the tune of 74 million. A lot has gone on the ground in terms of investing in many of the new farms that we have acquired. We mentioned Chishinga when we were with the minister in the morning. It's a ranch in Kawambwa. We are restocking anew. We have about 2,000 heifers that have been stocked there. I think we are yet to conclude. There will be about 5,000 when all the tenders have been attended to begin to run that ranch. You have also learnt about our investment at the Momboshi Dam. We have about 700 hectares of land there. 13 center pivots have been installed. We are cleaning that farm. It will be fully operational this December after everything has gone by. Why this request or expression of inadequate funding when we are producing enough as it may be? We are able to feed ourselves in terms of mealie meal, which is a maize that you are observing has been produced. But unfortunately, many of the foods also that go through a complete diet are not produced by ourselves. We may speak of food items such as sardines, popularly carpenter. We have to buy from outside suppliers. Beans, which is one of the major foods that we use for relish, is not produced by us in many aspects. We have to buy from outsiders. Rice and ingredients such as cooking oil, sugar, salt. So I think these are the ones that create this inadequacy in the budget that is availed to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, follow up.
Chair, I wanted to find out, you spoke about the 50 million and the 74, so I want to find out which sub-program those funds are under. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So on page 3, when you go through, we should have numbered them, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line 7, correctional farms management. That's where those budget lines fall. Thank you, ma'am.
Chair, also just as a follow-up, so you do have the budget allocation, then when you have revenue in your farms, from your farms, where does that revenue get deposited? Thank you.
So we run what is called, what are we calling it now? We used to call it
fund?
Yes, we have a correctional service revolving fund. We bank these funds in our institution, and we seek treasury authority when we need to spend them to certain levels from the controlling officer with a PS. So the money is kept by the service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did I see Honorable Twasa's name? Hand, sorry. Please note there is a question for Honorable Piri which has not been attended, but I will allow Honorable Twasa.
Thank you very much. I want to go back to a question which was touched by Honorable Member for Kasama on page 4, where you talk about your agricultural production, and you said you managed to produce 90,000 by 50 kg bags of white maize during this season, 2023-2024, and 80,000 bags of 50 kg of white maize was sold to FRA. Your document has not highlighted how the remaining 10,000 was used. It's quiet on that one. So maybe this committee would want to know how the 10,000 was used. And also, I'm looking at your budget here, which is 1.2 billion. Almost 50% of that, not almost, but 50% of that goes to personal emoluments, and goods and services only takes up about 40%. Now, I'm wondering whether this is good enough for the, more especially for the core business, the inmates. Is it enough for their welfare, or you are depending on visitors and well-wishers to visit these inmates and provide them with some items and so on to keep them going, and even the other facilities that would make an inmate's stay in a correctional service comfortable, so that their basic human rights are not violated. Is this allocation enough? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Sir, you may attend to those two. Please bear in mind the first question that was asked by Honorable Piri. It was not answered.
Thank you,
So you
Chairperson.
have 3, sir.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't know if I got the question for Honorable Piri clearly. I thought it was talking about the inadequacy of the funding, and in the breath of answering Honorable Mwamba, I thought we had covered it.
Would you like to clarify, Honorable Piri?
Okay, thank you so much. But a part of it was on the revenue from your activities like farming, and also from the I think you have put in the morning there was a mention of you having the workshops which were recapitalized. So I don't know, maybe I've missed any document where it's showing us a non-tax revenue that you are collecting from the correctional service. I just married it with that, knowing that you have got an issue where you have got you don't have adequate food for the inmates. So that's why I was trying to somehow. It was a marrying from, but I was asking that we don't, any document that is showing you revenue from correctional service. Yes, thank you.
Maybe it was an oversight. Maybe it was an oversight and the guidance of how these documents are prepared.
Okay, sir.
If that is required, Chairperson, I think we are at hand to provide that information on the revenues that are generated from our CRF programs.
Thank you, sir. Please attend to the other two questions from Honorable Twasa.
10,000 balance from 90,000 maize produced this year is retained for our internal consumption. So it is with us, it is food for our inmates. What was the other issue? Is money enough for us to attend to the welfare of the inmates? To a large extent, yes, it is enough. It is enough because the basics are in place. The inmates are feeding 3 meals a day as indicated. That's about the management of an inmate. They are clothing. We have managed to lodge them in decent beddings. They are able to have medication in their clinics, transportation when they are required to go to the courts of law. Those parameters, when they are in place, Honorable, then it means we are managing the affairs of the inmates well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable members, are there any further clarifications? Honorable Twasa, follow up. Then Honorable Piri, Honorable Muvika will be the third question on this set of questions. Honorable Twasa, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Still on the budget, sir, when I look at your total budget of 1.2 billion and then the emoluments, they account for, like I said earlier on. Now, this other component, the other 50%, where the 424 million for, is also divided into different sectors as it is outlined here, where you have rehabilitation services, social integration, correctional service, training, management and support services. I'm glad that you've said the inmates are well taken care of, they're comfortable, but everyone who goes to these facilities will complain about overcrowding. Your allocations here have not addressed any of these issues that could make their stay comfortable, though you do insist that their stay is very comfortable in those facilities. But I want to disagree with you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's finish that set first. Honorable Piri.
Thank you so much once more, Chair. I'm on the document on the information request form, where it's under, this is page 4 on expenditure by economic classification. The 20 to, let me go to 20, of course even 2023 on transfers is showing blank, 2024 showing blank. Of course, 2025 also is no, of course this we can't say was nothing. I don't know whether there's allocation of some funds that are supposed to allocate. I want to understand whether these transfers, it means expenditure to you incur when you're transferring officers, or maybe it means something else, so that you're able to understand. You can just elaborate here. We're showing just blank, there's nothing that happened under that column. Then the other one is on, I'm happy that there's allocation on the monitoring and evaluation for 2025. So what I want to understand that, is this authority now meant for you to establish an independent unity which will be doing in monitoring and evaluation under correctional service, or this allocation to go under the Department of Planning? So I want to understand. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Honorable Mvika, the third question.
Thank you, Chair. Just on infrastructure development, Chair, I just wanted to find out from the PS
if there are any plans in the short term, say 2025, to put up correctional services in some districts. Specifically for Western Province, I would talk of Shangombo, which is 27 years old as of this year, as a district. And most districts have correctional facilities chair, so people usually suffer when their relatives are arrested. Though the crime rate is very low, arrested, but they're spread in the whole province. Sometimes others are brought all the way up to Mwembeshi, and so relatives usually suffer or struggle to see their relatives. Maybe they have long-term sentences. So any plans, if any, not expanding, but if any, for consideration of Shangombo, which is far away from other districts, and we have that challenge. Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure maybe not only Shangombo, but the other districts where there are no correctional facilities, maybe we'd want to cover it from that angle.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd wanted to get back to the Honorable Member on the allocation and the welfare of the inmates. I think maybe we should have separated what we would want to mean when we say they are taken care of in a better way. The infrastructure budget line, we agree, is inadequate. It marries with a submission now why we don't see a lot of infrastructure coming up out there. The facilities that we have now were inherited from the colonial era, most of them, and were meant to host very limited numbers. What has happened now, we have a lot of numbers that are going in there. So the pressure on the amenities is very high, and the dilapidation is very high. I think in that area we would agree we haven't done very well. But what are we doing to mitigate the congestion that is mentioned about? Yes, we mentioned in the morning, we have just commissioned one facility in Nansanga, 1,600 capacity. Two facilities have just been constructed here in Lusaka. One was opened last November, the Mwembeshi Remand, 1,500 capacity, to answer to the issue of congestion. Another one has just been delivered now by the contractor. We are finishing off administrative matters. It is a 1,800 capacity. Very soon it will be hosting numbers from the most congested facilities. We have also a number of open air facilities that have been opened across the countries, where we select low risk inmates to go to those centers and reduce on the population that is in the limited facilities that we have. You have heard of the many emphasis of the non-custodial sentences that we are trying to push in many of the policies. Parole, this year about 428 inmates have been released on parole. That number is able to be a population for one facility. Let's say a central prison like Livingstone would have somewhere in that average. They are outside in the community being supervised from there. We are also pushing the reform of the law so that maybe we are restricted in the parole. That's why we are not seeing so many numbers going out. What we wish to do or to see is that we change the law. It's very restrictive because it only allows inmates serving sentences of 2 years and more and have remained with 6 months before the expiration of their sentence. That's when they qualify to go on parole. So we would want to see a situation like it is in many other jurisdictions, where we are going to introduce judicial parole right from the courts of law, which we want to observe also. The courts of law are beginning to implement that. We had new cases in Livingstone early this year where the courts pronounced themselves to parole for inmates direct in the court of law. So they don't go in the facilities, they are diverted immediately. So if that law is emphasized, we'll begin to see a bigger population go to be supervised from outside and reduce on the number that comes in. If we can also work on the law of parole, to allow that maybe we take out that restriction of 6 months remaining, and for 2 years it should be open as long as we are satisfied this case can be supervised from outside. We'll see bigger numbers going to serve their sentences outside and less coming inside to cause the congestion. I wanted to also answer on the monitoring and evaluation unity. We have that unity within our institution, so it will be supervised from ourselves. Thank you very much, Chairperson. The transfers are for inmates, so when we have high court sessions, especially in the provinces, they go to sentence high-profile cases, and all those high-profile cases running from 10 years to life imprisonment now, they don't stay in the stations across the country. They are all transferred to maximum in Kabwe, Mukobeko, or to Lusaka. As well, when those that are serving in these facilities, Mukobeko, they are closer to their discharge, we have to take them. We have to take them back to the stations where they came from. We also have transfers that we take to open air facilities when we want to push for the decongestion of the main centers. That's how the transfer component of resource allocation comes into play. Thank you.
The Commissioner General, so I think the question was, if you look at the other document, expenditure by economic classification on page 4, the question is about allocation. 2023 there was no allocation, 2024 no allocation, and even in 2025 the budget that we have set here for, there doesn't seem to be any allocation. I think she was trying to find out what has happened to that funding for the 3 years that we are talking about.
Chairperson, I thought it comes as a technical matter with our technical experts. I wanted them to just give a better clarification as to why it comes out that way. Please.
Thank you, Chair. I think as we are preparing, I think my colleagues just forgot to simply remove this part. What normally happens is when you have budget running, we are normally guided by funding in terms of ceilings, and this time around the ceiling with regard to transfers was not given to us, so we could not do anything about. And even if last year it was given, but I think the amount was minimal, very minimal. So this time around we are not given, and hence I think my colleagues just forgot to simply not indicate. Should have just left it because there was no such provision in the next 2025 budget. Thank you.
We'll accept that for now, but I think going forward, let's ensure that what is brought before the committee is adequate in terms of presentation and everything else. I know we are still piloting. I note there are still some hands. Honorable Mutaya Chalo, Honorable Vice Chair, Honorable Piri, and please.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. Thank you very much, witnesses. I think it's just a rider on the question asked by my colleague from Shangombo. I do appreciate the interventions the government is putting in place to decongest these correctional facilities. I mean, we cannot underestimate the fact that the government is spending colossal sums of money to look after these inmates. And also maybe we need a lot of resources to build these correctional services instead of building more schools, more hospitals. Don't you think that going forward working with the Ministry of Justice and other government departments to overhaul the entire justice system, because there are certain offences like wildlife crimes. Someone is found with a skin of a rabbit, they go there for 5 years imprisoned with hard labour. And to me, I feel that we are not helping this country. So don't you have that idea to ensure that some of these cases should not carry custodial sentences? I thank you.
Thank you very much. Kindly take note of that. Vice Chair, next question.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. P.S. I wanted to find out if Zambia Correctional Services has any plans on increasing the number of products that it can farm. For instance, beans, soya beans, groundnuts, if there are any plans to have all those in their farming blocks. And then also, looking at page 6, table 5, your output indicators and targets, there is number of correctional centers installed with solar electricity, the target being 12. Right now, as the situation stands, load management is here for a long time. Prisons are high-risk areas and require security. Don't you think this is a priority area, and not only to pick 12, but to ensure that every correctional service facility is installed with solar electricity? I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just to a request or maybe a follow-up on the issue of the farming activities. Having been told that even in 2024 you are funded, maybe it's just prudent, maybe also on your maybe in indicators, if you can show us your targets, you know, and then so that from what you are receiving, you show us your targets, so that come next year we'll be able to look at you, how do you perform in that line, because now it's that this activity is completely silent, but it's funded. So us, whatever activity that is funded, would want to know how the money is being utilized, what is the output, what are we, you know, the performance at the end of the year. So maybe as we are receiving, we are going to submit 2024. Maybe also you show us 2025 your targets. It's very important for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You may attend to those.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members, for those interventions. And to respond, Honorable Mteacharo, I did talk about non-custodial sentences, and that there has been a lot of collaboration between the judiciary and ourselves over the years to try and reform our law, so that many non-risk or less risk cases are diverted from custodial to non-custodial and supervised by ourselves or the parole system away from the facilities. I think that is in place. There has been a lot of discussion and the actions have been taken. That's why now we have the National Parole Board in place. It was a response to this requirement that we have endeavored to want to bring in the dispensation of justice in our country. I hope that answers that concern. We are together. I think number of crops diversification. Honorable Mwamba to mention that this year, and also that we have targeted or established Momboshi irrigation farm as our horticulture farm. Except for this drought, we are compelled that we must use it as well to produce maize because it has adequate irrigation infrastructure. But the core function of that farm is to try and diversify from the traditional maize production that we go through Last year, we endeavored to begin to do potatoes on that farm. This year, maybe we are the largest onion producing farm in the country. We have 150 hectares of onion produced at Momboshi. These are crops that we have never endeavored to do. Why? Because they are high value crops, and we believe also they can make us have the income so that we can use these monies for further other developments and needs of the service. We have also discussed that we need to find a way to begin to grow crops such as beans rightly, also that we use these beans in many of our kitchens. So I think that program is in place. We are doing just that. The levels maybe that are still low, but soon someday we'll be there. To mention also the concern of solar.
Sorry, just before you proceed, as we are still in the same vein, so the Chiawa farm, will it be purchased under Zambia Correctional Service or Central?
When it is managed, it will be purchased by central government as a correctional service. If it is we are the ones to run it, then we take over the responsibility of managing it. So I was answering on the concern for security as a result of the load management we are going through in the country. We are concerned and we are encouraged to learn that everybody like yourselves see this situation. It's a resource envelope which is limited on the ground. Why we have said we'll pilot on off. Not to say that we don't need solar power in all the facilities, we do. Somehow in other centers we have gensets which were installed 2-3 years ago, and we haven't been using them so much. That's why they are not seen, because we have been okay. But many now are using gensets, though expensive to have the fuels. So that's a comfort that comes around. We are also investing in biogas. Because we need energy to cook the meals for the inmates. So some of the resources are being channeled in that area so that we are able to prepare meals, especially in facilities where we've been using electricity to prepare meals in our kitchens. Farm targets, thank you for the concern. We shall avail this information. But just to mention, on the maize target for this year, we have reported 90,000 bags. Our target was 200,000. So most of this maize that we have produced has come from our irrigated farms, about 65,000. The little that is above to get to 90,000 has come from rain-fed farms. We were hit hard in the many centers where we produce maize by the drought. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Piri, the last one.
Thank you so much, Chair. I was looking at the submission on the constraints on the delayed disbursement of I think constraints. It was mentioned this funding, is it inadequate, or sometimes there's delayed disbursement of funds. Then versus the 2024 budget, that as at now that you have received 800,818,154 kwacha 17 way. Knowing that we are here to support your budget when it comes in the House, and then we are looking at the disbursement versus the approved budget for last year. So would you still say that you are not comfortable with what has been displaced as for today, and to what percentage would you want to have displaced as of today, so that when we are also debating, we'll be able to, of course, we'll have to present to the planning department, the budget and planning committee. Then you might be asked this question, then we fail to answer. So to what percentage would you be able to be comfortable, that as at today you would be comfortable if this percentage of budget would have been displaced? So just help us so that we'll be able to answer that question in case it comes, because also going to present before a committee that you need to defend your budget. Thank you.
In short, the Commissioner General also, we are at 67% so far. Are we sure, or do we see the remainder coming in by December, and how have we fared in the previous years? Have we had times when the whole allocation is not given out, or we normally meet the targets as set out by government? In addition to his to our questions, sir.
Thank you very much. Are we okay at 67%? We are not okay. We would have loved a higher percentage by now, but funds have been difficult to come through because of the drought that we have gone through. I think we have been guided. So many of the funding or budget lines associated with projects have been very slow to come through because of the response to the calamity that the country is going through. The remaining part of the percentage is associated with emoluments. So we are comfortable, all the officers who have their salaries, as we go to the end of the year. I hope that answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Honorable members, anyone with still anything lingering on the mind? Oh yes, the Commissioner General. I think Honorable Muvika from Shangombo is not happy with the response. On the congestion, yes, you are doing a good job, but I think the question was very specific. Are there plans around our districts, those without facilities? Is there anything that we foresee being done in the near future to ensure that the inmates are as close as they possibly can be to their relatives? He was talking about Shangombo, where there was no this facility. Some of the inmates are brought as far as Mongu, Mwembeshi, and it's quite difficult for the relatives to move across. So any plans for extra facilities in districts where there is nothing?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Sorry that I didn't specifically respond to that. Maybe it just waved off my... The plans are that we should have facilities in all districts which will be nearer to family members, because having inmates closer to family members is part of the rehabilitation process. Also fosters reintegration and family tie-ups. Unfortunately, I think it all borders on the resource availability. Also, other minds have argued that maybe we are also finding it very difficult because we have spread our facilities everywhere in the country, like every district. Now we are over how many districts in the country? So when it now comes to management and distribution of the resource envelope, it becomes a big challenge. I was discussing with the minister yesterday when we were preparing for these meetings. There is a very good example, one country, as we go for benchmarking in other jurisdictions. Yes, it's a small country, Barbados, in the Caribbean islands. They had, when we were there in 2014, they had a population of 13,000 inmates as a country. And that is exactly was Zambia's population at the time. How did they run, or how do they run their prison system there? that single facility is hosting the entire 13,000 population. It means therefore that the officers will be in one place. All the transport required to manage the facility will be in one place. All administrative issues will be managed centrally for one prison facility. If also in our jurisdiction, as we have wanted to propose as administrators, we needed maybe to have one big facility in every province. Mindful that we want the inmates to be closer to their family members. But on the side of management and the resources to have an impact, if we had, say, a facility just in Mongu that would host the entire population of Western Province, it would be very easy to manage in terms of resources when they are taken to that province. A chairperson would wish to know that in a province like Luapula, Muchinga, Northwestern, the Western, we have a population in the entire province, 900 inmates. And that's a population for one facility, like Mwembeshi here. Then that now 800, 900 population in Luapula is strong. Around all the districts, it becomes a challenge because each district now needs a car, it needs a population of officers. All the management issues that are required at a prison facility or correctional facility must be availed to every district. That's the challenge we are going through. We have discussed how, if we went through to overcome this challenge of resource availability, let's find PPP programs, public-private partnerships, like we have done here in Lusaka. It would be very easy for us to have a facility like that in every province. Bring all the inmates, all the staff, everything that is needed to be run in that province. This challenge would be nowhere. We hope that the future we will listen to these submissions that we could begin to run our facilities that way. Yes, we would need the facilities to be closer to the people, but it's very expensive. That is the bottom line. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes. Would you like to put it across?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. DJ, in my constituents, there were some former prisoners. They were asking some questions like there is some fund which you are giving those who were released so that maybe they can do something. So now I was blank about it. So I wanted to find out from you if there's such a fund where all the former prisoners, maybe they can come together and there's a fund from the correctional service for them. So I didn't have an answer for that.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I was trying to look for the actual figures so that I could speak to. We have, yes, a facility called, it comes under integration. So when inmates have been trained in our facilities, we want them to go back and have something to put their hands on for their livelihood. We have about 9 or 10 cooperatives that we have established in the provinces. So inmates come together, they register that cooperative, and we are funded by Treasury, and funds are channeled to those cooperatives. Largely we have observed that many of them that have done that have gone to establish poultry business. There's one or two here in Lusaka that are doing very well. They are doing very well. We have seen the figures are looking very interesting, and the former inmates are busy. At Soweto, they are opening outlets in many other places, restaurants, selling eggs and chickens themselves. Yes, they are right. Maybe it's a question of how do we guide them. Who do they see in the province there is somebody who is responsible in our administration into those matters. It is one of our current programs that we are trying to bring on board. It falls under what we call extension services. Before, the correctional system used to end at releasing. We had nothing to do with an inmate who has served their sentence and gone away. But now the policy is that we have to follow them in the community. So it's prisons beyond walls. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, the Permanent Secretary, the Commissioner General, and the entire team. We would like to thank you most sincerely on behalf of my colleagues for this interaction. I know we have had a long day, but I think we've done justice to the budget lines for Ministry of Home Affairs and Correctional Service. Indeed, this is how it is supposed to be. Request that we've requested, kindly forward them to us by tomorrow as promised, so that we are able to compile our report. Otherwise, we thank you most sincerely and we want to wish you well. We know we'll be meeting from time to time. This is your committee, and when we ask, I think we ask in good faith. We ask so that together we can be able to improve the welfare of the people in our ministry, and together we can build our country. I think that's the essence. Parliament cannot be able to operate in isolation, and we value all of you, the witnesses who do come from time to time, because that's what makes our work easy, and that's what makes easing the burden of ourselves as a people. We can grow the economies of our country, we can live in peace, and hence attracting development in our nation. So on behalf of Madam Speaker, I would like, sir, to thank you most sincerely. We look forward to meeting you again as and when it will be necessary. With those few words, I would like to just take this opportunity to withdraw that little immunity that we conferred on you. You still remain with that greater immunity that all of us enjoy out there, and indeed have a very blessed day. We'll see you. Thank you very much, sir. Please.
Staying with us on the Parliament television, you are still watching sector budget analysis for the year 2025, and we'll continue bringing you live proceedings as the various committees consider the sectors that have been referred to these committees. And that was a submission from the Zambia Correctional Service to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, which is chaired by retired General Morgan Sitwala, Member of Parliament for Kawama Central. The committee is scrutinizing the budget allocation to Head 30 Zambia Correctional Service in the 2025 national budget presented to the House by Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani, and the allocation to Zambia Correctional Service for the year 2025 is 1,254,257,531 kwacha. So that has been allocated to Zambia Correctional Service for the year 2025.
Pauline, we must make mention actually that it was the Permanent Secretary Administration, Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security making a submission to Head 30, which is the Zambia Correctional Services, and so far he also made a submission earlier on to Head 15, which is the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
So that is what has been discussed so far this afternoon. We will bring you an executive summary at about 17:30 to give you what has been discussed in the various committees. For now, we take a break.
You don't need to suffer from load shedding anymore. Liveltech is here to save the day. Imagine this. You're in the middle of an important task and boom, power cut. Frustrating, right? Well, not anymore. Introducing Liveltech, your go-to for advanced energy storage solutions. With Liveltech, you can store electricity and use it whenever you need it. Homes, schools, businesses, Liveltech powers them all. Our commitment to quality is unmatched, backed by a 10-year warranty. Picture this: happy families, productive businesses, and uninterrupted power supply. That's the Liveltech promise. So, why worry about power cuts? Choose Liveltech and embrace a future of energy independence. Contact us today to learn more. Liveltech, your trusted solar experts.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Kick off your summer with top-class football this September live on Topstar. For only 180 kwacha until a classic OD Smart. Catch the return of club football as we love it with the flair of La Liga. On Sunday, 15th September, watch Mbappe's Real Madrid battle Real Sociedad